Sumo, a contact sport between vehicles where we allow collisions between two highly motivated competitors. But how can we allow this to happen and still maintain a relative level of safety? What we've done is we've constructed our Sumo ring with 4 concentric circles that are essentially speed bumps. If you look down here at one of our bumps, you can see that they're quite large. They're 20 inches wide by almost 10 inches tall. So when a vehicle actually tries to drive across that, they lose speed. They can't gain too much speed, so that when they run into vehicles, the collision is essentially a low-speed collision rather than a high-speed collision. And this is the main thing we do to make sure that nobody gets hurt in Sumo. The way we constructed our rings here was we laid down a couple of concrete blocks to define the contours and the shapes of the rings. And then our head carpenter, Sagi, came up with an invention that was the Acme Bump Master, or the great Saga-matic Sumo ring constructor. What it was is a box with a shape cut out here that was loaded with concrete. The concrete was fed down to actually form the rough shape of the ring here, and then troweling work was done behind it to smooth it out to actually get the finished effect. This particular device was so effective, we were able to construct all the rings in this area in 2 days. We're in the center ring of Sumo. The covering here is shale, crushed shale. It doesn't give a really good traction surface, but it's not too bad either. Sometimes we have a little bit of water in here so the vehicles actually can spin around a little bit. So this is the middle ring that all the shows start from, and then the competitors go out from here. The object, of course, being to push your competitor out of the ring. The next ring out is a little bit more benign. What we've got in those is we have wooden blocks floating in water. We actually have behind me these red tires. Now you drive on tires, but actually in a vehicle driving on tires is very difficult. It's easy to get them caught up in your suspension. It's very difficult to gain traction. So those are areas that won't damage your vehicle, but actually are a little bit difficult to drive on. We also have 2 paths. They're the black paths that run out of here. One black path is actually very good road surface. It's smooth, it's generally dry. You can use that as a path into the center or a path out of the center. 90 degrees to that, we also have another black path, but this one is lined with polyethylene plastic and little tiles that are cut up out of polyethylene. We've got a little bit of water in there, so when you hit those tiles, they tend to slide, so you can't gain too much traction in those areas. Further out, our next rings actually have some of our lethal areas. There are white areas. In those areas, we've got barbed wire in one set of white areas. Those are primarily to disable tracked vehicles by getting barbed wire wound up in their tracks. 90 degrees to that, we have the caltrops and spikes. Caltrops and spikes are deadly to pneumatic tires. They'll pierce the tires can go flat, they can actually come off the rims, as we've seen in a lot of shows. The furthest ring out isn't neutral, but it's not deadly either. Those are the slippery areas. We've got golf balls, actually more than golf balls. We're going to put some bowling balls and some other size balls for the final event of Sumo. And also we have greased planks out in those areas. So if a competitor gets into those areas, it's easy for the other vehicle to push them out.